Hey guys, welcome back to The Binger. The world is still reeling after the release of Avengers Endgame. The movie was an emotional roller coaster to say the least, full of great highs and bittersweet lows. Marvel Studios may be great at bringing the heartache, but they're also incredible at injecting comedy when we need it the most. Join us as we mop up our Endgame tears by revisiting 10 of the funniest moments in the MCU. These scenes are so funny, even Thanos would bust a gut. Out of all the things that we theorized happening in Endgame, we never thought that we would see Chris Hemsworth in a fat suit. I mean, sure, the God of Thunder is supposed to be larger than life, but we didn't think that this would be the route writers would go down. Considering the movie is an emotional roller coaster, there's something genius about Thor turning into a beer bum. Not only did it catch us completely off guard, but most of us can relate to some extent, can't we? Who doesn't want to get their ale on when the world turns to dust around them? It's only natural, Asgardian or otherwise. What Thor lacked in muscle, he made up for in comic relief. Considering he's usually the one that makes the ladies drool and the fellas feel inferior, it was kind of amazing to see him taken down a peg or two. The best part? Well, all of it. The way the others poke fun at him throughout and then bribe him with beer just to get him back on the team is brilliant. Plus, if he ever finds himself adrift in space again, Thor could probably live off the pork rinds living in his beard for a solid 10 years. Scott Lang is fresh out of the cooler, and it's only natural that he goes to get a job at Baskin-Robbins. At the beginning of the 2015 movie Ant-Man, Scott's still trying to keep on the straight and narrow. To prove that he's no longer a criminal mastermind, he goes where the shirts are pink and the sprinkles are bountiful. The entire scene is hilarious, especially for anyone who's ever worked in the service industry. There's a guy there that tries to order basically anything hot, including a pretzel with mustard, which is much to Scott's despair. The chaos continues when Lang gets called into the office by his boss and confronted about his shady past. The cherry on top of the sundae? Baskin-Robbins always finds out. That simple, effective line is pure gold. If there was ever any doubt that Baskin-Robbins had a shady underbelly, it's been put to rest now. Regardless of the script, it was worth it just to see Lang in that pink and blue getup, feeling the pain of retail workers everywhere. At least he got a free mango blast out of it, right? Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 was a hit for a reason. Chris Pratt brings some serious mojo to the part of Peter Quill, with the rest of the cast following his lead. It's a wonderful mix of that superhero action we love and side-splitting laughs. It's only natural that they would work their way onto this list. As far as enemies go, Kree Militant Ronan isn't the kind of evil mastermind to crack a joke. He has the personality of a rock, and he actually sort of looks like one too. When Peter and Gamora get hold of the orb that Ronan wants, there is no stopping his wrath. Like Thanos, Ronan wants what's inside the orb for himself, an Infinity Stone. After he gets hold of it and embeds it into his hammer, the Guardians know that they've got to do something about it. When it comes to sheer strength, Ronan has them outweighed. There's one thing that Ronan doesn't have: the ability to bust some moves like our boy Star-Lord. In a particularly tense scene, Ronan is doing what villains do best, holding his hammer above his head, demanding everyone renounce their gods. You know, the usual stuff. Quill does the only thing he knows how to do in a crisis. He opens his mouth and starts singing some 70s soul. Clearly, Kree warriors aren't familiar with the likes of the 5 stairsteps, so it works like a charm, allowing Quill and the gang to robot their way out of the situation. We've already touched upon the genius that is Scott Lang, but he doesn't just shine in his standalone movies. He can split sides with the Avengers better than Cap's shield. Captain America: Civil War was arguably one of the best Avengers movies, but it was all about the drama. Would they sign the Accords? Would they not? Would Tony and Steve continue to beat each other to a pulp, or would they kiss and make up? The questions were as hard-hitting as the punches. It was an important installment in Phase 3 as it set up the dynamic for the big battle against Thanos. However, there was also one huge reason that it gets pride of place in the MCU canon: the debut of Giant Man. Ant-Man is tasked with distracting Tony and the rest of the Avengers while Cap gets away with Bucky. So he decides to try out something new. Instead of going down to his usual minute size, he makes himself giant. The airport battle scene was already brilliant before this, but this element was a perfect addition. Scott's lines in the lead up to the big reveal are so over the top that it's clear he just wants to be loved by the rest of the group. He's the little Ant-Man that could, bless his tiny little socks. Scott's commentary alone is enough to make this scene legendary, but the reactions of the rest of the Avengers is what makes this moment one of the best. Spider-Man's potty mouth exclamation followed by War Machine's surprise is a testament to both the actors and the writers. Well played, Marvel. Very well played. Spider-Man Homecoming welcomed a new Avenger in the form of Peter Parker. Out of all the heroes, Spider-Man is one of the most famous, thanks in large part to the number of movies that have been made in the past. Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield have both played the part of the Web Wonder Kid, but now it's Tom Holland's turn. Holland brings a naivete and innocence to the part that makes Spidey sing. He's like a kid trying to learn how to ride a bike, bumping into everything as he goes along and causing complete chaos. He's just what the Avengers need. Parker spends the whole of Homecoming trying to prove to Tony Stark that he's worthy of the title after the events of Civil War. It doesn't exactly go to plan, but at the very end, Tony does him a solid and offers to make him an official part of the group. Parker turns it down, instead choosing to go back to his own neighborhood and kept his web slinging on the DL for now. Up until that point, he's even managed to keep it a secret from dear Aunt May. But that doesn't last long. The final shot of the movie shows Peter gazing out of the window of his bedroom, dressed in his Spider-Man suit, when Aunt May comes in and catches him. Cue the best reaction from May, who says exactly what our aunts would say if they caught us dressed head to toe in spandex in the middle of the day. Thor as a character has changed quite dramatically since his debut back in 2011. Back then, the God of Thunder was an arrogant jughead with much to learn about the ways of the world. Now he's changed in some noticeable ways, and we're not just talking about his beer belly. Chris Hemsworth and the writers have done a brilliant job of making Thor less serious, more relatable, and a million times funnier. He always had those elements, but it's nice to see them being explored further. One of the first displays of Hemsworth's comedic talent is in this scene from the first movie. Jane and her colleagues bring their unusual friend to a diner, where Thor stuffs his face with everything in sight, including the coffee. Once he's done downing his drink, he throws the cup onto the ground with almighty force before demanding another. Fun fact, that part of the scene was completely improvised, so the rest of the cast jumping out of their seats in shock is a real reaction. The way they're all able to carry it off works very well. It's a little moment, but one that proved that Thor was going to go a long way in the MCU. When Loki decides he wants revenge on his brother and heads down to Earth to make some mischief, he's even more arrogant than Thor himself. Fueled by anger and intent on causing chaos, he forgets one thing: the Avengers are pretty good at what they do, especially when they band together. Everything is going nuts during the Battle of New York as the Chitauri army lays waste to everything in their path. Loki is flying through the city like he's the lord of the realm when Hawkeye sends an explosive arrow his way, knocking him back into Stark Tower. Hulk sends him through the glass, but Loki stands up. Determined that he gets his own way, he demands that he's respected as a god, like a grumpy Asgardian toddler. Hulk interrupts that rant by picking him up and smacking him into the ground repeatedly before calling him a puny god and walking away. Loki lays on the floor like a piece of tenderized steak, whimpering. So much for being above everything, right? Hulk may not say much, but when he does, it is so worth it. When Captain America is pulled out of the ice, everyone's favorite suited and booted gent is there to get him back up to speed. Agent Coulson is usually a smooth operator, but this scene shows us how he's prone to the odd nerdgasm just like the rest of us. As Captain America is getting to grips with the state of the world, Coulson can't help but tell him what a big fan he is. Imagine meeting the one person that you've always looked up to and saying something as creepy as, "I've watched you while you were sleeping." Coulson's innate babble and Cap's awkward smile make it the stuff of movie legend. If anything, it's just good to know that someone like Coulson can turn into a socially bereft mess just like the rest of us. What's worse, his verbal diarrhea, the way he tries to mirror Cap's cool guy body language, or the look on his face. Sometimes the most cringeworthy moments make for the most memorable. When Thor comes back to Asgard in Ragnarok, he arrives at the same moment a play is taking place. Loki is pretending to be Odin, and the people are none the wiser as he sits there in his robe eating grapes. Ragnarok is hailed as Thor's funniest outing, but this scene stands out for a multitude of reasons. Loki's play is all about how he supposedly passed away in his brother's arms in Thor: The Dark World. Of course, by the end of the movie, we knew that Loki wasn't really gone, but Thor didn't have a clue. That is, until he returned to Asgard and saw his dad acting out of sorts, watching a play that was all about Loki's glory. The part of Loki in the play was performed by Matt Damon, which made the entire thing a hoot. Fake Thor tells the fake brother that he's brilliant in every way, promising to put a statue up with big bendy horns. Complete with a choir and a wonderfully literal script, Loki finally gets a crown, albeit as king of comedy and not of Asgard. Still, man, take what you can get, right? Poor Scott just can't catch a break, even when he's trying to save the world from the effects of the snap. Clearly still new to this whole Avengers thing, Scott takes a break at the new compound, sitting down on a bench to contemplate life and chow down on some tacos. It seems like a tranquil moment, only as soon as he gets him out of the wrapper, Nebula and Rocket land their ship, blasting the filling out of his tacos to Kingdom Come. Scott gets a side of sass instead of salsa as Nebula walks out and tells Rhodey via her comms that there's an idiot in the landing zone. War Machine slams down right next to Scott, who's having a heart attack for lunch now. The entire scene is less than a minute long, but that's all that's needed to remind us that no one does offbeat hilarity better than these guys. Bruce finishes it off by handing Scott some replacement tacos as he walks by, probably stifling a bad case of the giggles. Hey, see what we did there? Sorry if it was a little cheesy, but that's how we Mexican roll here at the Binger. What do you think? Did we recount one of your favorite moments, or is there one that we've missed? Sound off in the comments down below. Before you jet off to save another day, be sure to give this video a nice big thumbs up. We'd appreciate it. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button too, so you don't miss a thing from us here at the Binger. Until next time guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.